Hey everybody, today I wanted to do a quick video about the latest thing I installed in my truck. What I did was install a ladder. So I'm 6'3" and a little bit on the heavier side. I'm 220 pounds and the tailgate is up to my thigh. That's pretty high up there. I can get up, I grab my thing here, I step on this, and then I jump up on the tailgate and I can get in and out. My kids have a whole lot harder time. When I need to access stuff from the side, I'll step on the tire, climb up like this, and then I can get to it, set my hammock up, and climb up there. 20 years ago, I hurt my back and I hurt my neck in flight school. Most of the time I'm fine. Every once in a while it flares up. Right now it's bothering me, and I love having this ladder in here. I just put it on this last week. Today's like the third day, and I just installed the new foot mount thing just now. That's why I'm making this video, because I'm pretty much done with it. So I want to show you how easy it is. That's it. There is a handle you can use. I'd have to cut it down because the bed on the Ranger is not as big as the full-size trucks, and this ladder is extendable. And without it being extended, the pole hits the top step when it's on the tailgate. So I just took it off altogether because I got plenty of other stuff to hold on to when I'm getting in the truck. So you have to understand with these ladders, you have a set point here and a set point there, and then you make this triangle straight down the ground and right here. Right now, my weight's not on the tailgate, so it's up at a certain level. So I climb up here, and right now, you can see the whole thing slides out a little bit when I'm up here. That's to be expected. If it were to kind of get stuck up, and then you'll notice like there's a little bit of gap up here. So just know it's going to be a little bit of a movement when you're coming back down, but overall super strong. It's rated for 300 pounds. Like I said, I'm 220, and it's solid for me. So I can go up and down into the bed of my truck, no problem. And then from here to climb up, if I wanted to get on my hammock, just step right here and just all the way up. I have another ladder that's like a telescoping ladder to get up on here. I never actually used that. I thought it was a great idea, and then it just didn't turn out to be all that good. So this one is pretty awesome. One of the things I like the most about this, there's a lot of these on Amazon that just fold up and fold in. This one rotates. So you can have it off the back of your truck if you're parked next to someone and you can't get on that way. You can do it here. I like going from the side because then I can grab something as a handhold. Back here, as soon as I'm on the first step, I can hold on to this, get up here. And you saw that it kind of moved out. It's because I put the weight on the tailgate. So coming back down, same thing. You can do that to kind of get it in place. Then you're off of it. I think it's pretty cool. I think I paid $110 for this thing. There's a couple versions. This one was $110 because it's aluminum and it has these treads. You could pay $70 for a black one. I think it might be steel. Maybe it's still aluminum, but it doesn't have the treads. It just has the like single pipe going across, which would be fine too. And honestly, it might fit even better across there, but I like having the treads, a little more traction. And then I put some tape on here because before I had the new mounting system, the tops of the steps were hitting the bed. My tailgate is super scratched up anyway, but if I can avoid more scratches, I do. So that's how easy it is to get in and out of there. I did have to mount it to the bed of the truck with screws, so it is a relatively permanent thing, but I haven't had the spray and bed liner done on my truck. So I didn't mind putting a couple holes in here because when I get the bed liner done, I'm going to take all this stuff off, have them spray over those holes, and then, I mean, they're not going to rust because they're going to have the bed liner on it, and I can put them back in there. I can find a way to bolt it instead of screwing into the metal. There's a lot of different mounting options, but for now I use the self-tapping screws they sent, but I did have to build sort of an aluminum bracket on here because the tailgate is so many different levels. It's high right here, goes down a step here, goes down a step here, so there's 3 different levels where this thing has to be. It has to be in a certain location where it can go off either side, and then when you do that, you want it mounted flat. So I took a couple different pieces of aluminum, stacked them up, I cut them to shape the truck or the tailgate, stacked them on top of each other until I could put one piece flat on top of all of it and mounted this to that. That was my solution. You could use wood, you could use spacers, you could use a bunch of washers. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I just always have aluminum. I have a piece of 1/8 inch, 3/16 and 1/4 inch that I use for all sorts of different stuff. I buy them on Amazon. They're not super expensive and they're really handy to have. I cut them all by hand with the hacksaw in my vise. So it's not like you have to have special tools or anything like that. It is a lot of work. I'll cut them and then I'll file them so that they're not sharp or anything like that. And then I ended up putting a little bit of tape on it just to keep metal on metal to a minimum. So there is like Gorilla tape, the Flex Seal type of Gorilla tape underneath this, and then the screws go down. They self-tap into the metal. I did pre-drill it at like, I think I used a 3/16 bit, and this still had to bite a little bit, and it's definitely strong in there. I mean, the bracket picks up the whole tailgate. There is some motion here because this thing spins. So you'll see like, well, you're not really seeing, but anyway, that does spin a little bit. When you first buy the thing, they send you this as the strap to hold it in place. Basically, you're supposed to, screw this in on both sides, and then you strap it, and no matter how tight you get it, it still moves back and forth, and the top of the treads actually rub on the tailgate. So I didn't like this solution. I ended up for the first couple days putting it on here, wrapping it around a couple times. I didn't hear it rattling, but I know it was. So I could have like shoved towels in there. But what I did end up doing is, I'll bring you over here a little closer so you can see it. So what I ended up going with are these basically like broom mounts, I guess, or like shovel mounts. You mount these to a wall, and then it has a strap over the top, and it's made for 1 1/4 to 1.5 inch pipes. And this looks like about 1 1/4. And then you can just slide it in there. Tighten it down. And it is solid on there. These are held on, same thing. I had to raise them up a little bit because if I mounted the thing straight down, the steps would have touched again. So what I did is, again, with some aluminum, this is the 1/4 inch aluminum. I cut a couple pieces like this, put them together, filed them all flat, drilled a hole through the middle, and it's just one screw holding this thing on here. So hopefully it'll hold. If it doesn't, take it apart and put a bolt on the back. And put a bolt through and put a nut on the back with some washers and really get it secure. But for now, it's holding, and it is solid. I mean, the whole bed moves. It closes. It doesn't rattle around, and it's always there. The downside to this, obviously, is you don't have access to slide stuff all the way in and out of your tailgate unless you were to flip this thing over. Then you still got these two things that are sort of in the way, but if you do everything from the middle, you're fine. So with all that being said, this is definitely not for everybody. I wanted it because I have 3 little girls that go out off-roading with me all the time, and they're always going into the bed of the truck to get, if we go to the lake, they're getting their floaties, they're getting their water shoes, they're getting their boogie boards, whatever they want to play with. And they used to have a hard time. They'd have to like jump up and sit and then move around or get their knee up here. Now they can just fold this thing down and hop in pretty easily. And I also, and I think I already said this already, but I'm always getting up on the tailgate to set up my hammock so I can hang out when my kids are at their sports or riding horses, or if I'm waiting to pick them up from school or whatever I'm waiting on. Instead of sitting in the truck like everybody else, I'm out there laying in my hammock on a beautiful day like today. So I really like it. I'm glad I got it. I can't remember the brand. I bought this thing like a week ago on Amazon, and I don't even remember what these things are called, but I will put the actual links in the description to this specific ladder and these specific brackets. I'm not saying these are the best. These are the ones I ended up going with. I bought 3 different types of brackets. I'm going to use the rest in my garage for my brooms and shovels, but these work great for this. They're definitely not an easy, like quick snap in and out, but man, they're secure. Some of the other ones I got are like 2 little things, and they kind of like go in and out as you're pushing the thing through. Those probably would work, but this thing is like solid. It actually straps in there, so it's not going anywhere. And I do a lot of bouncing around on the trails, so the more secure it is, the better. Anyway, that's it, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. If you're looking for something like this, just know it's not a super easy install. I did have to shape 3 different pieces of aluminum over here to fit the contours of the actual tailgate so that this thing was totally flat. Totally worth it in the end for me, but just know it's going to take a little bit of work. It's not going to be a quick one and done, screw it in. I couldn't find anywhere where I could just screw it straight into some high points where everything was even and have it be able to go off to both sides. All right, so we're going to get in a little closer on this mounting bracket that I made. You can see here, this is the top piece that's the entire size of the circle, and my intention is to take this off, cut all of them down to the circle so it looks a lot nicer. But for right now, this is like a 6-inch by 6-inch piece that this bolts through. Below it, there are 2 different pieces of aluminum. So the bottom one is 1/8, and this one right here is a 1/4 inch, and then this is 3/16. So I used all 3 different sizes. but the smallest one matches the contours of this part of the bed to connect this bump with a bump here, so it's everything is actually like metal all the way down to where this screw is holding, and there's no air gaps and putting weird tension. The next one up is a little bit bigger, and it goes even further over, so that these screws over here have metal to go all the way through. So really, you could use wood, you could use washers, you could find other ways to do it. I use the aluminum. So that is how I mounted this, so that it's level and it is the right distance from the side of the tailgate and the back of the tailgate. So the next thing I want to show you is how I actually store the ladder when I'm done. So like I said initially, this thing would just sit kind of loose on here. I put the strap over it. It would still move up and down. The ladder would rub on the paint of the tailgate. That's why I put this black tape on there. But now, the cool thing with the way this thing mounts is it can go side to side. So I got these, slides in there, and you can put it on whatever level you want. It's not as easy as just pushing it down there, but this thing is secure. Like, it picks the whole tailgate up, and there's really no, well, I don't want to say no, I'm putting some tension on it, but it'll move the whole tailgate before it actually rattles around. So that's what I did. And to get it out, I do one at a time just to not put a ton of pressure. I want to show you that these, I put tape around it, but I had 2 pieces of aluminum, 2 1/4-inch pieces. So there's a 1/2 inch of aluminum here to bring this whole thing up a little bit. And the reason for that is that these steps hang down a bit. And if you mounted this down lower, it wouldn't reach all the way down because the steps would actually be hitting the tailgate. So I had to raise it up some. Same thing like I did on where the actual thing mounts to the truck. I had to put this to raise it up, but now it fits perfectly. And like I said, it is super secure. Okay guys, so that's it. Not a cool, fun off-roading video or anything, but to me, this is a very useful thing that I wish I had done earlier with my truck, just because I get in and out of it all the time. This thing makes it super handy, still fully functional, doesn't block anything. The handle still works. I didn't drill through anything I shouldn't have drilled through. I couldn't make it totally straight, which I would have wanted to, because then this thing would hit the foot. I had to bring it down a little bit. Couldn't bring it all the way up because then it would just be too high and might look weird. So it is at a little bit of an angle, but my OCD is going to allow it just so that my tailgate actually closes. That's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you have better ideas, let me know. I know that there is a step that I've seen installed that kind of goes under here, but with the Ranger Raptor, we got the tailpipe here. So there's no real room to have that thing here because it mounts up under here and then it folds back up right where our tailpipe is. So that was my first choice, but I don't want to modify the exhaust on this thing to get to it. I thought it would have been really cool if there was some sort of attachment that you could put in here that, like, it goes down and then it's a step, but then you have to take it in and out and it might not be totally secure. I don't know. I didn't think too much through that just because every time you want to use it, you got to get it out and put it on there. But now that I'm saying that, every time I want to use my ladder, I got to fold it out and undo it. So either way, you got to open your tailgate. If you guys know of some sort of step that goes in these hooks, let me know, because I'll take this thing off and use that instead in a heartbeat. But for now, I'm using this ladder. Okay, cheers, guys.
It's over!